Good morning, everyone. My name is Sandeep, and I'm the co-founder of CodeTigers. Welcome to the week 5 of the Great Indian Coding Competition. We are done with all the 4 lessons. We are towards the later half of the competition, and we've started getting wonderful submissions. In fact, the submission date ends today, January 31st. And we've been very, very happy with the response the event has drawn so far from everyone that has been participating, all the young kids from all over the country and from outside India. So the response has been amazing. There have been hundreds of registrations, hundreds of students have participated, and we're very happy and thrilled to see the kind of response that we've been getting so far. So on that note, today's discussion was planned with everyone who was involved behind the scenes to make all of you familiar with the people, with the team which has been participating in this discussion, in the event, creating the event so far with all of you guys. So we wanted to give an opportunity to interact with the folks behind the scenes who've been doing the wonderful work. And they've been a wonderful, they've been a very young team which has been doing a lot of hard work. And the team that has been working behind the scenes is from 2 different parts of the world. There have been young people, young mentors from India, and there have been young mentors and young people from the US who've collaborated together to create this wonderful event that you're all part of. So we'll be getting an opportunity to meet them and, of course, some other interesting people. So it's going to be a very interesting 60 minutes. Today, unfortunately, my co-host Vasu is not available, so I'll be taking you through the 60 minutes on the show today. And let me quickly bring on the screen the 4 young Indian mentors who were part of this program. Okay. Hi guys, how are you?
Hello, Sandeep. How are you? Hi, everyone. I'm Soham. Great to meet you.
Hi, I'm Pallab.
Yeah.
I'm Vagish. Hello.
Hi, and I'm Tanisha.
Hi guys, great to meet you guys this morning. Thank you so much for taking out the time to be part of the show. So as I was telling everyone that it was 2 great teams, 2 young teams from both India and the US, teams of young people who really slogged a lot, who really put in a lot of effort behind the scenes to make the Great Indian Coding Competition happen. You were part of a lot of things, including planning, including the execution, the stage that we've reached so far, and of course the things which are still to remain. You're going to be involved in many more things in the future. So yeah. So how has been your experience with this? How did it all start? And tell us a little bit about it.
So I used to watch Sandeep sir's weekly Sunday coding shows, and I found them to be really interesting. I found the work you were doing, sir, to be very inspiring. And I reached out to him and I said that, are there any programs that I can collaborate with you on? Because I think I've always been interested in terms of giving back and helping teach young people to code from a very young age, right? Because I think coding as of yet is not promoted from, let's say, even grade 1. But I think that's some kind of a change that I always wanted to see. So I reached out to Sandeep sir. And honestly, it's been a fantastic experience. The way he has everything planned, and he gives us these tasks, and he also gives us the flexibility to give him feedback. And we really work together to make this competition a really good experience for all of us.
Yeah, it's been an amazing learning for both, I think, people like us, the older people, so to say, and the younger people. I think the learning has been mutual and both from both sides. So, Pallab, I'd like to ask you a question about your skills. What made you excited about this? And when you started joining, when you thought about this, what specifically excited you about inspiring young kids? Because we're doing this competition for young kids in grades 2 to 8. So, What your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so Soham reached out to all of us about this competition, this organization, and we saw that it was for Scratch, and actually Scratch is how I got into computers and coding, and it kind of has like an emotional background with me, and I thought that it would be great to get a chance to organize a Scratch event of this level, and yeah, I just very excited for the entire thing.
Cool. So you yourself you started Scratch. You mentioned what age did you start with Scratch, and what was your first program? If you could probably mention that.
Yeah, so I still remember this. Back in fifth grade in school, we started doing Scratch, and we had like a project to make, and it was a car racing game, nothing too difficult. It was just two cars going around in a circuit and seeing which car would win, and I found that like a lot of fun to make, and so it really stuck with me from there.
Okay. So all of you guys, I assume, are uh, programming for a few years. You've got some years of experience. You must have coded in different languages. I'd like to ask Tanisha. Tanisha, what brought you into this whole space of learning technology, and how long have you been doing it, and what are some of your favorite programming languages that you're currently coding in?
So I believe that in every field, coding and computers in general will be very integral from now on, especially. And
Mm-hmm.
the more you develop the skills, it'll help you much more later. So as Pallab mentioned, I also started with Scratch back in, I don't know, fifth grade ish. And
Okay.
since I've learned, I think Python, Java, and JavaScript, some other languages, but these
Okay.
I know the best. I'd say my favorite language would be JavaScript, I think, because of how it can collaborate between back and front end, and how there's a lot of libraries that I love using with
Mm-hmm.
JavaScript. And I feel like if I had such amazing resources to learn back then, I could have learned much, much better. Like so many languages I'm learning right now, I could have learned
Mm-hmm.
this long ago if I had something like this going on. So I'm really excited to be a part of this.
Wow, that's interesting because we've seen older people come on the show that we've hosted in the past, and we've seen them acknowledge the fact that the resources available to younger people today are so exciting. They're very interesting, like things like Scratch, things like Blockly, the whole idea of creating anything exciting just by dragging and dropping blocks, and they're able to do that. Kids are able to express themselves creatively. uh, so people who started in technology around 30 years ago, they are excited. And I see that young people like you who started with technology maybe a decade ago, uh, even you guys are excited that, wish Scratch was much, if probably you could have started with Scratch sometime in when you were at that age or maybe even younger. So, Vagish, a question to you. I know you're a very creative person, and we've seen your creativity at hand. So, what do you think Scratch allows you to do? A lot of young kids are learning Scratch all over the world. How do you see it being different from anything else? And how do you see it allow a child express themselves creatively?
So I think the biggest benefit of Scratch is it lets you prototype and lets you develop games or like stories very, very fast and lets you change a lot of things very, very fast. So if you look at a Python or a JavaScript, you're spending a long time writing a code to make someone talk, or you're spending a long time writing a code to make someone move. Whereas
Mhm.
in Scratch, it's a block, and next thing you know, they're flying across the screen or they're talking to another character. It's in a matter of seconds you've had a whole story made, and that's really fantastic because it enables you to do so much more with that same platform, where you can then build on it further and further, and you can learn more about it, and you're not immediately stopped at step one when you just want to even start making the characters talk and walk.
Yeah, I think Scratch is great in terms of expressing your creativity, and we've seen kids express themselves so differently, not just as part of this competition, but as part of the uh, learning. They've been Kids are able to express themselves. If you have 10 kids in the same group with the same theme, as we have in this competition, we have a theme, and every one of them would express themselves differently with the same idea. So that's been a very interesting experience and insight and learning for us. So let me ask all of you guys this question. When you thought of the word the Great Indian Coding Competition, and when you thought of getting into it, what did you think of? What came to your mind, for example? Why did you start of being a part of this specific journey? Apart from the fact that it would give you some experience, it would excite young kids. Anything else that comes to mind? And this question is for anyone who wants to go with it.
Yeah, so if I can take this one. So I think the four of us have done smaller projects in our communities, in our schools, but I think the issue is about how many people we can actually impact, right? So when we realize that we can have such a wide audience through the Great Indian Coding Competition, I think we were all very excited to be able to actually inspire so many young kids, because when we do this in our communities or schools, for say, it's about 15 to 20 people, but here we can talk to hundreds of people about how coding has changed our lives, and if they take it up, it can change their lives too. Pallab, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to this. So at first, when he reached out to us, he said that it was a scratch competition, and I thought that was a great idea. And then once we started talking more, we realized that not only are you having a competition, but you're going to be teaching them how to code Scratch. And I thought that was fantastic because, having a competition, organizing a competition is one thing, but teaching them the skills to take part in that competition is actually really great.
Awesome. Vagish and Tanisha, anything that you guys have to add on to that? Okay, good. So yeah, in fact, there's a very interesting story behind how the competition started. The whole idea of this competition came about from a tweet that we came across from someone who wanted to organize something which was impactful for kids in India, which could inspire more and more people, more and more young kids. And like Soham mentioned, that some of us are working in our own communities. We are working in smaller groups. You have the experience of working with this group of 15 kids, 20 kids. But how do you inspire a larger audience? How do you take this message out to more and more people? And in that sense, I think we've been very thankful that we've been very happy with the response that we've been able to generate, the excitement that we've been able to generate. The schools have been very supportive. So we have had students from all over the country joining in, whether it's a government school or a public school or an elite school. We have students from everywhere. We've had students from all parts of the country. We've had students from outside India. Indian schools are there in other countries as well. So we've had kids from those schools as well joining in. So yeah, in that sense, I think we've together as a team, we've all been able to create a much larger impact. And if we've been able to encourage hundreds of kids join this journey, that's been absolutely refreshing and exciting. So a lot of these kids have started learning to code with this competition. What is your Tanisha, what is your thought on how should they continue with this? A lot of young girls have joined this competition, and we'd like them to continue this journey. What according to you is the next step forward after this competition is over?
So I think besides this competition, CodeTigers itself also publishes other videos on YouTube, which are very accessible, and anyone who has an interest can learn them. And we also are planning to start some Python and Scratch courses ourselves on YouTube with CodeTigers. So I think all kids should continue learning this, because even if they don't want to get into coding, these skills will help them anywhere they go to, right? So I think it's great if they continue learning with us or without, anywhere. They should not leave coding. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I think that's a really important message, that the journey that everyone has started, all the young people have started with this competition. You should keep continuing with this journey. going forward. Whether you learn from this platform or you learn from anywhere else, you should keep that consistency going on. That's really important. Uh, I'd like to ask this question to the audience, to the people who are watching this. In case you have any questions for us, please feel free to, step in and ask your questions to any one of us. Pallab, we have a very cool comment. Somebody, Mehul says he loves your hair. In fact, the young people, they're so excited. The young kids. In one of the episodes that we had a young uh, student who wore these really cool blue-colored glasses, and everyone made sure that even if he removed them, they made sure that he put them back on. So it's very exciting to have these young kids on the show, and that's been a really exciting journey. So when we thought we wanted to plan this out, we initially thought it would be the older people who will be inspiring the younger ones, but it's actually the other way around, right? So let me ask this question to you, Pallab, again. What inspired you to start your journey with technology? Was there some individual who inspired you at some point, or was it something that excited you towards technology?
Actually, no individual in specific, but I've always been I love doing math, and I feel like the subject involves a lot of logic and analytics, and I feel like computers is also like a perfect example of a subject of that sort. And the subject, the logic, everything always just excites me, and I feel like it's a great way to put your brain to the test and look at different ways you can do things. Because like in math, you have formulas and you have certain kinds of questions, but in computers, you can kind of like make your own formulas or generate something that solves that formula for you. And I just love the logic behind all of it, and so yeah, that's what inspires me to code.
Awesome, awesome.
Can I add on?
Of course, of course.
Right. So what actually got me into the whole field of STEM and coding was I distinctly remember I had this magazine, and on the very front cover, it was a technology-related magazine, and on the very front cover, there was this big robot that they had, right? It was just lying around in the house, and I think I read that magazine like front to back, back to front, upside down, everything some 20 times because I was just so intrigued and fascinated, all this new cutting edge technology. And then eventually we got another copy, and this whole like chain of events streamed down where eventually I got really into this whole field and sector.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually very interesting because yeah, everyone has something or the other because of which we all got excited. There is a tipping point for most of us. So a lot of people, you guys are all on the cusp of starting your professional journeys at some point in the near future. You're all very young, and I don't know, but you must have planned your journeys already. You must have thought of some professions that you want to get into. So, but all of you are learning technology. That's the common thread amongst all of you guys. So, do you believe that technology is for everyone, or do you believe that technology is only for some people and not for the others? What are your thoughts on that? Anyone can take that.
So I think Tanisha mentioned this already. Technology has become so versatile now that everything is dependent on technology or computers, if you consider it. Or let me give you a few examples. Let's say the health sector, right? Doctors. During the COVID-19 pandemic, they have to process hundreds and thousands of tests, right? But they can't manually keep doing this just because of India's population. So they leverage technology to do it faster. Let's say in a financial world where we have to assess the risk or you have so much going on, how do we consider that only one person can do this? No, we consider technology because it helps us out with that. Let me give you a smaller example. Even if we consider something as simple as keeping tabs of our groceries, right? All of this can be made easy through technology. I think the other wonderful project in the health sector with technology was I had a friend who was working on using technology to help people with communication difficulties become better at expressing themselves, which I think was a great project. So maybe if we consider 30 years back, the notion in India at least was that technology is if you want to do engineering, but that simply isn't the case anymore. Everybody uses technology, and it's probably the most useful skill to have.
Yeah, I think that's very well put in. That whatever field that you might plan for yourself in the future, whatever profession, industry, sector you might want to get into at a later point in your career, technology is something which is already touching our lives. Wherever we look at it, and the use of technology is only going to grow from where we are today. We're already talking about better technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning. So it's also therefore important that we start preparing our younger people, the young people from all over the world, where they start learning technologies, they start knowing about technology, they're able to create technology rather than just consume technology, which they're already doing, so that they're better prepared for their future. Yeah, I totally agree with you guys on that. Okay, well, on that note, thank you everyone, all of you guys, for spending the time with us today. And it was wonderful having you guys today with us. I'll not take a lot of your time now. I'll thank you, Vagish, Pallab, Soham, and Tanisha.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, guys. Bye. All right. So that was a bunch of young mentors who've been working behind the scenes as part of the coding competition, the Great Indian Coding Competition that we've been organizing. Now, let me quickly welcome our group of slightly older, only in age, but not in mind. Team of volunteers. They're from IBM. So, hi Avnish. Hi Anshu.
Hi, Sandeep.
Morning, Sandeep.
Hi. Good morning. Thank you so much for taking out the time to join us.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah. So we were just having a brief discussion with our young volunteers. These are people from much they're young, much younger in age, but they're much more aware about whatever is happening. And these group of volunteers, along with some others from the US, they helped us plan the Great Indian Coding Competition that you're also now part of. So on that note, I'd like to let the audience know that IBM has been very supportive as part of this event as well. And we have with us a couple of volunteers from IBM, Avnish and Anshu, who represent IBM's volunteer initiative. And they've taken out some of their personal time to be part of this. So yeah, Avnish, if we can start with you, and if you could tell us a little bit about what you do at IBM, and how did you go about being a part of the volunteer initiative.
Sure. See, my name is Avnish Nathani, and I'm having 20 plus of years experience in computer industry. See, I've started my career as a developer and then went on to become a professional in information technology. And coding has provided me a great platform in building some great applications and solve business problems for many organizations. And even today, I am greatly involved in solving the business and technical problems for my customers using the technology. Coming on to the volunteering, it has it offers helps to the needy people, as well as help us to contribute in worthwhile causes as well as to the community. It makes me feel happy. It reduces the stress, and it provides a sense of purpose.
Awesome. So we know about the kind of organization that IBM is at a global level, guys. We know the great work that you guys have been doing. And Anshu, we know also a little bit about the STEM for Girls initiative that you've been doing, the IBM as an organization that's been doing. If you could probably tell us a little bit more about that, and of course about your work, what do you do more specifically at IBM?
Sure, Sandeep. As you said, right, IBM has been, continuing their work in CSR and STEM. So they firmly believe, right, STEM is the need for today's world, and bringing the young population and to STEM, providing them the right opportunities and skills is going to be the future for tomorrow. That actually makes the foundation for tomorrow. So preparing those young minds for the technology for even today and tomorrow. That's where IBM is, focusing, and with all their CSR initiatives. With volunteers from across the IBM and across the world, not just India, right? They have multiple initiatives wherein with association with organizations like you and colleges, education institutes, and different NGOs, right? And across the different financial sections, they have been contributing, technology-wise and volunteers effort-wise to bring STEM in a very, methodical way with the design courses, so that to upskill the kids. So that's where, the focus IBM has been providing.
Okay, wonderful. So if you could tell us a little bit also about the STEM for Girls initiative that IBM has, where you're very specifically encouraging young girls across the country to learn STEM. The focus is very clearly on learning technology and building the future leaders of tomorrow.
So, okay. So as you know, right, the girls' education has always been at a back foot somewhere. Maybe it's because of the way India's what you call culture has been, but then I think that's something which can translate even overall the world. So while it's working across the world for STEM education in general, providing the equal opportunities to even women, right, to the girl students, so you can bring that equal opportunities across the genders, because girls have less representation today, but that's not because they do not have the skills or the capability. It's the opportunity given them to skill themselves, right? And that's where all these efforts come in, to give them the opportunity to learn and then apply themselves, improve themselves, because they are nowhere less skill wise. It's all about equipping them with the right skills. So that's where all the initiatives are, and I say it's rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. In fact, we've worked with thousands of young people over the last few years as an organization, because one of our core focus areas is to encourage more younger women into technology, to sort of correct the gender disparity which exists everywhere, whether it's IBM, whether it's Google, and even in schools you see girls taking professions or streams which are more focused towards focused away from technology, and it's a sort of stereotype that women are better in towards medicine or arts as compared to technology. So we've seen that happen at a very early age, but at the same time, one very, very important realization has also been that when you have a group of young coders, and that could be kids from primary school, as early as that, the quality of code that young girls are able to write and the sincerity with which they approach those problems is so refreshing. It's so encouraging as compared to boys. And I'm not being I personally am a father of 2 young boys, but it's a little difficult to engage boys. Their attention spans, their priorities are different. Young girls are typically more sincere. So I think we should encourage, and as a country, as parents, as educators, we should encourage more and more young girls to take up technology.
And Sandeep, I would like to add a point here. See, the
Yeah.
STEM is all about imparting like knowledge on science, technology, engineering, and the mathematics. And IBM CSR initiative is I'm specifically talking about STEM for girls. Like it's for providing them a platform to learn these technologies. Some of the underprivileged children do not have the accessibility to these four core subjects. So we are trying to bridge up the gaps and provide them with a platform by partnering with various NGOs to
Mhm.
provide these knowledge to them so that it can build up their self confidence and self esteem. And in case if they are able to generate an interest on the subject, then we are also partnering with various NGOs to provide them one-to-one coaching to build up upon these.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we all know about the wonderful stuff that organizations across the world are doing, including IBM. So yeah, we've been definitely tuned into that, and we hope that this keeps growing. The support that we have keeps growing and keeps happening. So, what would be your message? I'm sure you are you see technology all around you, and you see the future of how technology is. What would be your message as parents, as practitioners of technology, to the larger audience, the younger people who are watching this? So, what would be your suggestions to them to learn technology?
See, technology is a skill which everybody should embrace and try to learn it as much as possible. Consider this as one of the subjects which they are studying in school. And in case if they can generate the interest on this subject, they can build up upon these subject. So technology is something which can help you in solving a problem, right? So it can improve your problem solving skills, creativity, analytics skills. So it's not only limited to just building up game or writing a game, but it helps you to like solve business problems as well as the technological problems which the world is facing.
Yeah, very well put together. I think we couldn't have said it better. I think technology is for everyone, like we all have been
Yes.
talking about. It's for everyone. It's not difficult to learn technology. The basic skills are very simple. You just need to be curious, and you just need to know your uh, little bit of maths, and I think everything else sort of falls through. And on that note, I think we have a very interesting group of young girls from the US who have been learning technology and who've been also spreading the message in their community in the US, who will be coming on the show right after you guys. And I'm so looking forward to having a discussion with them about what are some of the great things that they've been doing in their community, where they've been encouraging more and more young girls, specifically underprivileged young girls, to learn technology in their community. So thank you so much for taking out the time to be with us today, Avnish and Anshu. It was wonderful having you guys with us, and we really look forward to working more closely with IBM in the future.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandeep.
Thanks, Sandeep, for having us. Thanks. Have a
Pleasure.
nice day.
Thank you. Okay, so on that note, we'd like to have, we'd quickly bring on our young team of mentors from the US. And I'm very excited to bring them all on the show today. They're coming on this stream for the first time, but this is going to be a start of a very, very exciting and interesting journey in the future. Something we'd like to talk a little bit about in more detail. And let me welcome quickly the founder of STEM Impressionist, Angela. Hi, Angela, how are you? Angela, I think you're on mute.
Okay, let's try that again. I'm like, hello, it's good to be here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm really glad. We're kind of excited to go ahead and have our first opportunity to be part of, well, working together, right? Now that we're in partnership, which is great. And yes, to be able to kind of speak to everybody and I don't know, share a little bit of the things that we're doing, hoping that we can help everybody like have a better life towards technology and have wonderful careers in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just telling before you, we had a group of IBM volunteers who've been part of this initiative, and they've taken out their time. So IBM India is part of the Great Indian Coding Competition as well, just like the young people from India and the US, and they are helping us, take out the message to more and more people. They are, of course, devoting their time as well to this initiative. So we were just having a word with them about some of the things that that we should be doing, how we should be encouraging more and more women into technologies. IBM India has a wonderful initiative called STEM for Girls. So why girls should be getting into technology. And you've been doing such amazing work in the US, in your community, where you've been encouraging underprivileged women in technology. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and about this initiative that you've been running for a few years.
Well, basically, it's been 7 years now. I was a middle school teacher, right? And I wanted to make sure that not only just girls, but all of the students had an opportunity to go ahead and learn the kind of skills that they were going to need in their life to be successful. So I started an after-school program, and then that expanded to the weekends because we found opportunities on the weekends. And then we're a nonprofit organization called the STEM Impressionist Program. And so it's really critical that both myself and the students, we work very closely together. And then we just do quite a few amazing things.
Awesome. Yeah, we'd love to know more about the stuff that you've been doing. And I think we're also looking forward to meeting the young mentors that are part of your group. So let me just quickly invite them. Yeah.
That's where the good stuff is. Here we
Hi.
go.
Hi, guys.
Well, actually, in this case, gals.
Yes. I'm in minority.
You're the only guy here. Yes. So we wanted to, if ladies, you could first go ahead and introduce yourself, starting with Abia.
Hello, my name is Abia. I've been in SIP for 6 years, and I've been coding for 7 years. Aya?
Hello, my name is Aya. I've been in SIP for about 6 years, and I've been coding for 3 years. Amanda?
Hi, my name's Amanda. I've been in SIP for 5 years, and I've been coding for 4 years. Lydia?
Hi, my name is Lydia. I've been in SIP for 5 years, and I've been coding for about 3 years. Mera?
Hi, my name is Mera. I've been in SIP for 3 years, and I've also been coding for 3 years. Nardos?
Hi, my name is Nardos. I've been in the STEM Impressionist for 4 years, and I've also been coding for 4 years. Noora?
Hi, my name is Noora. I've been in SIP for 6 months, and I have been coding for 11 years.
So
wow.
we're all very different. We just met Noora. So she was an excellent find. So I would love it, ladies, if you could just give a little bit of overview as to like, what does it mean to be a STEM impressionist? What is the stuff that we do in reference to STEM so that people can kind of understand like what that means? So let's start with Abia again.
Hello, yes. So my journey in SIP started with my interest in STEM. And so that came about when I was in elementary school, when I was captivated by the twists and turns of robots. And so that brought me to middle school, and my friend shared a similar interest in me in STEM. And so she knew about SIP, she was part of SIP, and she invited me to the club. And it's allowed me to pursue my love in robotics. I was able to engage with first Lego League robots, and as our years gone by, our school converted to using VEX robots. And so I think the ability to learn a new language, because new languages are always being invented and are ever changing, it allows you to prepare as technology advances. And I think being able to transfer my knowledge from VEX Lego League robots to VEX robotics was really useful. And so out of VEX robotics, I was able to judge regional and state competitions, and I was able to inform parents about the importance of coding and how it benefited me personally, gaining a critical eye in problem solving and, just giving me a creative outlet. So I really owe it to SIP.
Awesome.
Thank you, Abia, for sharing. My story is a bit different. I grew up in a traditional Arab household, thinking I wanted to become a doctor, and my parents loved that idea. They were like, "You're going to become this great surgeon." So I just continued on that path. And it was not until the 7th grade where I received this invitation, and it had the words risk and STEM. And I was super curious to join this organization that would allow me to explore an avenue of different STEM careers. So it kind of opened up a lot of doors for me. I was able to attend a guest speaker series, and I met a cybersecurity analyst, and he spoke about his job, and I honestly fell in love with what he had to say in engineering in general. And so after that, I decided to join cyber-focused events, seminars, and courses. I was able to take a local university pre-college program called Information Security and Ethical Hacking. I also took Cybrary Intro to IT and Cybersecurity, and after all of these, I decided that this was something that I definitely wanted to pursue a career in. And so to further my journey, a colleague and I, Lydia, we applied to NCWIT, which is National Center Women for Information and Technology. We were awarded their $3,000 grant to create an event for underrepresented middle and high school girls to expose them to two of the fastest growing careers, cybersecurity and AI. And we just want them to know about what it means to be exposed to STEM, because we want girls who look like us to have that sort of have those opportunities exposed to them at a younger age. Amanda.
Awesome.
Thank you, Aya. So my story started in 8th grade when Misty Hart invited me to a science competition after a standardized test in school. I immediately said yes, and I loved the experience. I then formally joined the program. And while the journey has been amazing, there have definitely been a few bumps along the road. I was removed from the leadership team at one point because I was failing to keep up with my work, and I had a hard time balancing school, clubs, and SIP. So after this, I set a goal for myself, which was earning my position back. I took the feedback I received from my colleagues, and I used it to improve my work ethics and become a more effective team member. And eventually, I got my seat back. So through SIP, I've gotten sustained mentorship and gained real-world skills that have supported me throughout high school. And although STEM is one of our main focuses, we also get to explore our other interests. And for me, that's journalism. So this summer, I decided to create a capstone project called Beyond 1619, which was a seminar for high school students and adults to discuss racial injustices and inequities in our communities. And now my program is in the final stages of being used for a college diversity program. Lydia?
So for me, I fell in love with coding when I took a Java boot camp the summer of my freshman year. We all took that class together because we knew that coding was an essential 21st century skill. And I appreciated the learning curve and the applications of coding in many different fields. And I actually ended up creating an app called My Medications, which tracks like the amount of prescriptions that a user takes. And it was inspired by my dad. So I knew from that moment on, I could use computer science and coding to help people and solve problems. And that's what really got me interested. And so later on in high school, I decided to take more classes around STEM. So I took a lot of chemistry, physics, math classes, just keeping to like challenging myself. and I gained more technical backgrounds. I also attended hackathons, and so all of that led to me being involved in some programs. So I applied to a program called Governor School, which is like a summer residential program for about 400 gifted students from our state. And although it was canceled because of COVID, I was still able to get in because of my background in SIP and coding. And I was also able to participate in Columbia University's Columbia Engineering Experience, which is actually a program that's open internationally, so anyone can apply from any country. We had people from Mexico and Puerto Rico in our program. And so we learned about engineering, not just the field, but also what it's like to study it at Columbia University. And as someone who was in my last year of high school, I was actually in the process of applying to colleges. And so being able to learn about Columbia firsthand was an amazing opportunity that I got because of my coding background. And I was also able to get an internship with the National Security Agency, and that's a federal agency in the United States where they focus on like the country's security and intelligence, and it has a lot of applications in computer science. So they had some summer programs for students as well. And in SIP, we also did the whole college application process together. Ms. Hart helps us with our essays and with curating our college lists. So we were able to have a support system throughout the process. And we actually all applied to like top tier and Ivy League schools. So Emanda actually already got into the University of Maryland. Aya got into Northeastern University and Fordham University. And I will be attending Yale University next fall. And so the sustained mentorship that we get in SIP, it continues on throughout high school and in college. So now we're working on our resumes, our bios, setting up like LinkedIn profiles and stuff to help us prepare for the workforce. And so that's what SIP will look like from after high school. Mera?
Yeah, so to give, oh, sorry, Ms. Dare, go ahead.
Sorry, this is like my part. Here we go. Okay, so that was cohort number one. That was group number one, and they were talking about their individual experiences. But we also kind of have done events, right, where we've gotten together and we've like had a brilliant idea. At least we think it was a halfway decent one to help other people learn about STEM. So now we're going to hear about that. Your turn.
Yeah. So like Ms. Dehart said, one of the things that we commonly do in the STEM Impressionist is host events where we can teach other young students about computer science and STEM. And one of those events was during the week of Hour of Code. So we got in contact with our local elementary school and we introduced the 5th graders who go there to computer science and the basics of coding. And we did this by having a couple of different stations. We had code.org, which is a website where younger students can learn how to do block-based coding. We also had Dash and Dot, which are interactive robots made for K to 8th grade students. We had Vex, which is another robotics program we used for students to practice text-based coding. And we also had Turning Tumble, which is a type of logic game where students worked on problem solving and creativity. So we had a variety of things to practice different skills, and all the links for these activities are being added to the chat, by the way. So during that week, we also held an event for students who went to our middle school, where we all got to code using a program made by Accenture, which is a global service and consulting company that provides services involving problem solving and digital technology. And both events went really well, and we really wanted to reach out to more kids, so that's what we did. We began creating more events where students could come to learn about STEM and computer science and just get involved.
So to teach computer science to the middle and high school students, we also applied for the National Center of Women in Information Technology, NCWIT's Aspire IT program. And basically the Aspire IT program gives grants to students who want to teach computing to their peers. We ended up getting a $3,000 grant, which is about 218,721 Indian rupees. And so that's how we hosted HackSip.
Yeah, so as Misty Hart mentioned, I'm the newest member, yes. And so I originally found out about the STEM Impressionist program through the seminar they were hosting called HackSip. So I joined the volunteer leadership team and participated in both of the 2 seminars. And I'm grateful to say that we will be hosting a 3rd one and maybe more to come internationally. So during the seminar, we focused on teaching minority girls block-based coding using a microbit device that we were able to provide with the grant money that we received that Nardos mentioned. So that opportunity in itself was, in my opinion, far greater than any school club could have offered. And that led me to realize that SIP was much more than that. And from there, they proved me right, like time after time again. And I'm just so grateful for the many other opportunities I got out of my participation as well.
So that was like probably a lot of information. Okay.
Yeah,
but
that was a lot. Yeah.
Well, this is kind of what we do. And I think it's important that in the sense that we are looking forward to working with CodeTigers and figuring out how we can help everybody in India, especially girls in India, do some of the things that we have done. And so, whether it is teaching Scratch or Python, or learning how to code a web page, all of those are skills that can help build your skills to be able to go and start living the life that you want. Because we've been made aware that you are looking forward to going to school, going to college, whether that be in your own country, in the United States or Canada or China or Australia. And so we think we can help you with those skills, and you help us learn how to be real global citizens. So this is a wonderful exchange.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited about this partnership. And yeah, we are really impressed with the wonderful work that all of you young people have been doing, and of course the initiative that Angela has been taking to support and to run this initiative. I truly hope that we can replicate some of this in India, where we can encourage younger people from diverse backgrounds, whether privileged or underprivileged. I think that's secondary, but more importantly, it's important that you can encourage and inspire more and more younger people to join technology, to learn technology, and to start thinking of a career in technology, like all of you wonderful young ladies are thinking of. So I asked this question to the young mentors we just had in our show in a little while ago. Those four people, they're learning the same stuff. They're learning technology. They're learning the same sort of courses. They're probably learning even the same programming languages, but they're not thinking of the same profession. They might be thinking of different futures for themselves. Someone might be thinking of becoming a doctor. Someone might be thinking of becoming a computer engineer. Someone might be thinking of becoming an artist or a sports person. So I'd like to ask this question, and this is for all the young people. You're all learning technology. You've been all transferring this knowledge also to the younger people in your community. But what are your future plans? Are you all looking to become computer engineers? Because that's a common stereotype that technology is only for people who want to become computer engineers. Whoever wants to take this, they probably take the lead.
I'll start. So for me, I definitely do want to use computer science and coding in my career. So right now I'm super interested in artificial intelligence and applications of that in many different fields. So how can we use AI in business and in healthcare and in like finance and solving like business problems? And also as our world is getting more integrated with AI, there's like ethical implications of that. And so also curating the legal relationship between technology and society moving forward is something that I'm interested in, because I think there's a lot of places where it could go wrong. There's already people who are being underserved by technology. And I think we need more representation of different people from different backgrounds. We need more people, we need more women in order to make sure that we can come together and make sure that no one is left out and that we're creating technology that can benefit everyone and it's not leaving anyone out or harming anyone out, and that we're not replicating our biases and our mistakes onto technology, and we're not automating the negative aspects of humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to just build on what she said. It's not necessarily about if you want to go into computer engineering, because that's like one aspect of it. But you have to realize that coding is at the intersection of all careers. So whether you're going to maybe do something in fashion and you think fashion is really cool, maybe you could create an app that could like broadcast what you want to show. Or like there's so many different career applications of coding. And I didn't really realize that until like recently. And when I was introduced to like an organization where they were just doing science research and they were testing things for COVID masks, and they ended up using like an application to try to see how many particles were going through the masks to see which masks were effective. And they used computer science, and I was like, well, this is like chemistry and this is like science related things, but it wasn't necessarily computer like engineering. So that's what I thought, and I kind of got that whatever you're doing, there's going to be an application of coding. And that's why I stress this so importantly, that girls need to be at the forefront of it, because the jobs are, this is a skill that all girls need. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were having this discussion with the couple of folks from IBM as well just a while ago. And we've seen that in different companies. We've had people from Google on the show. We've had people from IBM, the top leaders from the industry in India, outside India. And it's a strange, it's very strange to notice that gender disparity is there at the top most, the biggest institutions, the companies where you would assume or you'd expect it not to be there. And yet, when we work with young people from both the sides, girls and boys, we see that there's a definite sincerity when it comes to young girls. I can say very honestly, with the Indian kids, our experience with working with the Indian kids, and I can probably say that that's the same across the world. Girls are more sincere, girls are more genuinely interested, and at some point, they with that sincerity, it even translates into becoming better coders. So I totally encourage more and more younger women, younger girls to technology. I think that is going to be, if we have more young women in technology, that itself can change the society. That's it in itself more impactful for the society, for the community, because they are able to see problems from a very different perspective, and they can make project. They can take up challenges which are more impactful, which have far-reaching impact across geographies.
Right. I wanted to also try out answering that question. I think for me, I'm right now, actually Noora and I are both in a quantum computing class with IBM Quantum and the coding school. And so it's an online class, and we've been able to get this opportunity because it's virtual. And so we're learning about, quantum physics and all of that. And we're seeing how computer science can be integrated into fields like physics and chemistry as well. And I think that has been a super exciting experience for us. And I can personally say that, like, in the future, I do want to get involved with quantum research, and to know that, like, computing will be a part of that process has been really awesome. And, we're coding along the way while we're also learning, like, physics concepts and things like that. And I think that has also been another, like, way to see that computing is not just in, like, the fields that you can clearly identify as computer science, but it can show up in a lot of different industries. And I also just wanted to say that we wouldn't have been able to take this course if it wasn't because, like, we're virtual now because we're in a pandemic. And I think, a lot of people have been trying to find ways to continue learning during the pandemic, and, like, especially because, you don't have as many resources. And so for the people that are watching, I encourage you to, if you have, like, Wi-Fi and you have a working computer, like, get on Scratch, watch the CodeTigers live streams. Those are great ways to start learning about coding. But also, if you don't have access to those things all the time, then it's really important for you to be able to do creative things, maybe with your friends or your family members. Something that we were talking about in the STEM Impressionists is that you can get with a friend and you can try to give them directions the same way you'd give computers directions when you're coding, in order to practice like the skills that it takes in order to be able to code. And so there's many different ways for you to try to get involved with computing.
Yes, absolutely. Anybody else wants to add anything?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to add on. So I've been saying since I was 10 years old that I always wanted to be a doctor, and I still do, and I might do that. But if there's anything that I've learned over these past couple of years, it's that technology is so prominent in our lives. It impacts us day to day, and because of that, we should know how to, like, we should at least have like a basic understanding of it. And what like Noora and Nardos said, it's a part of every industry. It involves, it can be in the medical field, it can be in the quantum field. And I think it's just important to understand that it's a 21st century skill, and it's not just going to teach you coding, it'll teach you creativity and problem solving and other life skills that you're going to use in other fields. So I think it's very important, like regardless of whether I become a doctor or computer science, which I'm interested in both, I know that it's going to be important and I'm going to end up using it someday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very important message to give across to people, because we had a guest on our show from the MIT Media Lab. She did a course at Harvard, and she's been inside the MIT Media Lab, which was the place where we know Scratch was born. That's the birthplace of Scratch. So she was telling us that we have people from every industry, every walk of life. There's probably a sports person trying out technology. There's somebody who's trying technology with art. So technology is not just about one single person with a thick set of glasses trying to code on a computer. It's about different people trying to do different things with whatever they can in their own way, right? Angela, I think your mic is
still on mute. So you
Yeah.
mentioned that, and some of us are smiling because we actually presented at the Scratch conference in 2018, and so Abia and Aya both, we got to walk through the kindergarten lab, which was an amazing experience. So yes, it is. Coding is everywhere, and your ability to garner skills and be able to communicate that with other people offers you opportunities that can expand your world.
Absolutely. So on that note, I think I just have one final question for all of the young ladies here. What would be your favorite programming language if you were to pick one? If you could probably go one by one, or space. Let's start with you, Noora.
All right, so I would have to say Java is my favorite. It's the one I started with, and I have continued with it. So yeah.
My favorite would definitely have to be Python, just because I like the different libraries and I feel most comfortable, and you can connect it to different kinds of devices. But honestly, I don't think that the languages are as important when it comes to coding as are the skills associated with them, because it's all very similar grammar styles and different syntaxes. But I'd say that definitely what's more important than just the language and learning the language itself is like immersing yourself into the field of technology and giving yourself that platform just to start. Doesn't matter what language, just putting yourself in it, getting yourself equipped with any kind of technology. I definitely have to say that.
Yeah. Very well said.
I can go next. I mean, part of me wants to say Java because I started out with Java and I absolutely fell in love with it, and it was so amazing and really empowering to be able to program. But I think a big part of that was just because I like computer science so much, and that's how I started. But really, I think Python has become my favorite because I'm seeing just how powerful it is. And at the beginning, when people told me, Python's my favorite, I would always be like, no, like Java is so much better. But I realized like the power of Python and how it can be used in artificial intelligence, data science, and even in our quantum computing class, we're using Python as well. So I really like Python.
Okay. Yeah, I think Python is becoming really popular around the world because of its wider applications, because it's easy to learn, I think. So more and more schools, more and more countries, the education departments across the world, they're accepting the value. Yeah. Anybody else has any other favorites? And then probably I'll tell mine at the end.
My favorite would also have to be Java, not just because that's the one I started with, but I think it's a really good first language because the structure and the syntax is so strict that once you start learning other languages, it's so easy to apply it because I think it's easier to go from where you're being structured to non-structured. Like when I started to go from Java to Python, I think that would have been an easier switch. If I did it in reverse, and I did Python first and I went to Java, I think that would have been really different because Java is very strict and it's very structured and you have to do things in a certain way. And I think with Python, it's so powerful because it's so simple and there's not as much structure. But I think there's a lot of value in learning strictly first because I think that that makes it's easier to get flexible after that.
Okay.
So I can't really say I have a favorite, but for anybody who is a beginner, like how Lydia was mentioning, what it might be easy to start off with, I would say if you're like a beginner, you could start off with stuff like Scratch or block-based coding. That's kind of what I started off with. And then I kind of got into exploring HTML and a little bit of Python, a little bit of Java. But I'm excited to learn more. I don't have exactly a favorite, but that's kind of how it worked for me.
Okay.
I agree with everyone who said that Java is their favorite coding language. But if I were to add on, I would say C++ is definitely an interesting language. And I've been able to explore it while coding with Vex. And so it definitely gave me a new outlook into coding with, the add-ons of colons and etc. So I would definitely say C++ is really interesting compared to others.
Yeah, I also definitely agree with what everyone was saying. I think specifically because I want to go into cybersecurity, Python is like the prominent language for that field. But and speaking like generally, like I think HTML and C++ definitely give you like that freedom. Like when you're like designing websites or like editing stuff, I think it like allows you to do a lot more. And so I kind of enjoy like the simplistic style of it as well.
Awesome. Did we miss out on anyone? Or?
Nope, that was everybody.
Okay.
How about you? We missed out on you.
Oh yeah. Before me, I think we can ask Angela. Angela, what's your favorite?
I only know how to do one, which is Scratch. So I would think that that's my favorite right now.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my answer as well. I love Scratch. I think that's the best thing, and it probably is something to do with our generation. We are a little older than the rest of you guys because there was nothing like Scratch when we were growing up. Our programming languages were very boring. They were all very text based.
Yeah.
So when I for the first time saw something which was just simply dragging and dropping blocks and it could do something amazing, and the amount of stuff that you can do with Scratch, you can make animation, you can make games, you can make so many cool projects. I have actually seen a game, I think it was a Fortnite game where somebody coded for 4 months and they made an actual Fortnite game in Scratch. So it was really complex. Kids blow your mind all the time. And like I said, because Scratch allows you to do all of that by just simply putting those blocks together, and it's very visual. I think it's really cool. And the newer version of Scratch, which we see now, the 3.0 version, has so many nice extensions. So yeah, that would be my favorite, definitely. So cool. On that note, I think we will probably. I also wanted to address a couple of questions from the audience, but before we do that, I think I'd like to thank all of you guys for taking out the time to be with us on the show today. The entire SIP team. I know it's very late in the US right now. It's way past your bedtime. So thank you so much for taking out the time once again. And we're very impressed with what you guys have been doing as a group, as a team. And Angela and I, we've been talking about this. We are very excited about the partnership that both the organizations are getting into so that we can inspire more and more people, not just from the two countries, but from around the world, where we can encourage them to learn technology, to start this initiative, to start getting curious about learning technology. And we'll try and break some stereotypes that learning technology is difficult, and encourage more and more people so that they can take that first step, that leap of faith, which is so important. So thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you. It was good to be here. Good to
Thank
be
you
here.
for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye. All right. So just before we sign off for the day, I'd like to quickly tell everyone that there have been a few questions about the Great Indian Coding Competition. I think some of us were facing a little challenge about how to share your projects. So we'll quickly tell you how to do that. I have a Scratch project which I have opened. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah. So this is the Scratch project. If you guys can take a look at this. Now on the top right-hand side of this Scratch project, of course, right next to the place where you name your project, there is a share button. When you make a Scratch project, after you've named your project, after you feel that your project is all complete, it's ready to be shared, you should just click on the share button. Without clicking on this share button, you will not be able to share it with anyone. Now, the share button will only be highlighted if your account is verified. So you have to make sure that your Scratch account is verified. The Scratch team sends you an email on your registered email ID. You just have to click on that to verify your email. After that, all the projects that you make can be shared with anyone else. So when you're ready with your Scratch project, just log into Scratch, the project itself. Make sure that your project has a name. Click on the click on the share button, just like this. And now, after that, you get this message, your project is now shared, and you get outside the project itself. And under the project, you see this copy link button on the bottom right-hand side, which you can click. And you can click on this link again. So this is the link that you'll be sharing with us, that you send across to submit as part of your project submission for the Great Indian Coding Competition. So that's all that all of you guys need to do in order to share your project with us. The project submission date has been extended by a couple of days. So we were getting very exciting response, and some of the students wanted a little more time. So we've decided to increase the project submission date, which was originally for today. We've decided that we will increase the project submission date by a couple of days. So you have till the 2nd of February to submit your projects. And this project submission link is on the screen. So you have to use this link. You will also get this link in your email. It must have already been sent to you. If you haven't seen that already, please check your emails. So all you have to do is go to this link and then just enter the information, like your name, your email ID, and then just paste that link from the Scratch website and submit that, and we'll get your project submission. So on that note, it was wonderful meeting everyone today, and next week, next Sunday, February 7th, is when we will be looking forward to announcing who are the winners of the Great Indian Coding Competition. Until then, a very nice goodbye from our side. Take care. See you soon. Bye.